Trust me, this is going to be a very easy silk painting tutorial. Absolutely every beginner can repeat it. I would like to paint lotus again, or another way they are called water lilies. Here's the grid pattern. Enjoy! For painting this water lily, we'll need only two colors. In my case, it's magenta, which I always call crimson, and which is a cool shade of red. And then I'll introduce a warm green, which I think is called chrome oxide. But you may of course choose a different color. Say first you want to find a rather pale pink color. To do this you need to dilute the magenta with water, and I feel like this will be enough. And we start painting the furthest petals. Nothing complicated, just an even fill. And let's fill this petal with the same shade. And this one is probably far enough away from us too. So the idea is that we paint the far petals lighter. Now we want to make this shade a little bit darker. I'll say in advance I've darkened it a bit too much, but you will of course take that into account and make the second shade lighter than mine. I always use a plate, which is my palette, but you might find it more convenient to mix the shades in some small cups. See, I didn't have enough of this shade for the third petal, so I have to mix again. It's not certain that I'll get the right shade, but the changes will be minor, so it's not a problem. Although it looks like I've hit the exact same shade. So it turns out that the furthest petals are the lightest. The closer ones are a bit darker. And the closest we want to make even darker, and that is the closest petals are the most saturated in color. In fact, you can make all the petals the same, and you will still get a good result. But I think that with gradations in lightness, your water lily will look much more interesting and volumetric. Well, now we are going to take the color of the bottom petals and stem. I have it warm green. You can take any other color. As you saw, I did a mid-tone shade, and so far I'm evenly flat filling the bottom petals and stem. Now I go back to magenta again and do little accents like this on the tips of the petals. You don't want to make them very dark, just enough to make the color a little darker than the main color of the petal. If this darkness is not enough for you, you can make this color even darker at any time. Perhaps you would like, as I would like, to blur the borders of this dark color. And for the closest petals, I take the most saturated magenta, straight from the cap. And the same procedure I do with the lower petals. That is, I paint the green tips with crimson color, and you can see how the upper and lower petals unite at once. But that's not all. Now I'm going to take the green and create a light shadow at the base of the pink petals. You want to catch the right consistency here too. There's actually a video on the channel that has focused drills on how to control brush wetness. If you haven't seen it yet and haven't practiced, you can watch it. The link should show up somewhere here. On this petal I'm not going to paint the shadow, there's nowhere to do it, but still it's better to do such adjustments before the silk dries. If you have thin silk, this can happen. In this case, before you dye the shadows, you can wet each petal with a thin layer of water. With a darker green, I can deepen these shadows. And you know, I like this unevenness, but if you want smoother transitions, you can just wet brush them. See, I'm dipping the brush in water and rubbing. And I paint the shadows on the green petals with a less diluted dye. And rub the borders with water in the same way. As you can see, the interplay of green and crimson make our lotus or water lily organic and whole. For the background, I'm taking a different brush. Here's the brush up close. This is a cheap flat bristle brush. At first, around the green part of the flower, I will paint with crimson. And I'm going to paint the background in a very different way, just short strokes. I'm taking turns dipping the brush into the paint palette and then into the water. Even though the strokes spread out, there's still a kind of shimmer. And around the pink part of the flower, on the contrary, I will paint mostly green. With this approach, the air around the flower will be fluttering and the flower will stand out against the background. And at the same time, both the flower and the background will work harmoniously with each other. In some places, I practically paint with water. Well, again, just like in the flower, I introduce pinkish shades into the green area and a little green into the pinkish area. And please note that all the time I change the directions of strokes. It gives me a variety of these various strokes. And I make the background darker at the bottom. Where pink and green overlap, you get beautiful transitions and shades. I hope you enjoy painting your own version of this flower and let me know how it turns out. And please don't forget to leave feedback. It's important to me. Thanks to everyone who interacts. And this is how the water lily looks after drying. So thanks for watching and I'll see you later.